Nursing is the most respected profession in the world, and many nurses have paved the way through history to make nursing the honorable and most respected profession in the world. But did you know it was not always like this? Hi there, welcome to my nursing channel. My name is Nurse Master Charlie. Today I'm going to be sharing about a brief history of nursing. This is going to be part one of two parts. The second part is going to be about Florence Nightingale. So be sure to watch both. I love being a nurse and everything about nursing. Nurses are there through all aspects: birth, wellness, illness, recovery, and of course death. An anonymous quote says, "Save one life and you're a hero. Save 100 lives and you're a nurse." So what is a nurse and where do they come from? Now, a nurse is someone who is trained in the skill of physically, psychologically, and physiologically caring for patients. But you also have to have the heart to be a nurse. The heart is something inherent inside of you. You are not trained to be caring. You have to have that inside of you. I believe that as we learn about our past, we can learn to better shape our future. And as we learn from history, how far we have evolved. History documents nursing, although it may not be called nursing, all through history from 100 to 200 BC, all the way into 50 AD, as it is mentioned in biblical scriptures. So let's look at the word nurse. The Latin word is called nutrire. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. And it is defined as to suckle, as in a baby suckling on their mom's breast for milk. One occupation in history was actually called a wet nurse. This was a woman who could lactate and give milk to a child or to an infant who was not her own child. And it wasn't until the 16th century that nurse came to be defined as it is today. Now there's two types of definitions. There is a noun, which means a person trained to care for the sick or the infirm, and a verb, which is to give medical attention. Another verb, like I said, is about to feed a baby at the breast. Now, many nurses have paved the way to make nursing the honorable and most respected profession in the world. And history shows that most nursing care was actually done by mothers or women as they provided care for their infants and children, and somehow this transferred to caring for the sick. Caring for the sick became the responsibility of those who had practice in caring for the sick, such as family members, friends, respected persons, or even healers. In some cultures or societies, it was women who mostly did the caring. Other societies, there was shamans or other learned tribesmen who had the job of being a nurse. There was no degrees at this time, no formal training at this point in history. And most caring was done inside of a patient's home. Somewhere along history, this changed. In the early Middle Ages, early hospitals from religious obligation were established to care for the sick, and it was religious monks and nuns who did most of the caring. After the Middle Ages, the Reformation happened, and in Europe, religious affiliated hospitals kind of came to an end, and their stock of nurses came to an end. Nurses at this time were considered what they call wayward. Wayward was, by definition, difficult to control or predict because of unusual or perverse behavior. And nursing was actually considered low status in the society. Women who would commit a crime would even have the option to go be a nurse or go to jail. These nurses, as they would work in hospitals, would be punished because of fighting, abuse, thievery, and from having sexual relations with patients. Even famous author Charles Dickens, who described something that you might want to look up, something called Pickwickian syndrome. It's quite interesting. He had no medical degrees, but he actually described in one of his books the term wayward nurses because of their drunkenness. So let's fast forward. Eventually in the 1830s, after the Reformation, a German pastor by the name of Theodor Fliedner, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, opened up a nursing training facility in Kaiserwerth, Germany. It was called the Deaconess Home and Hospital, and this is to train new nurses. These were not nuns, these were not monks. It was the first time that it was kind of a semi-secular type of nursing training facility. Now, deaconesses comes from the word deacon, which in our time of today kind of means like a public servant or somebody to serve. And this is actually the school in Germany that Florence Nightingale would attend. Now, I'll be, like I said earlier, discussing Florence Nightingale in another video. But Florence Nightingale set the stage for the modern nursing of today. She was a philanthropist, spoke multiple languages, and she was highly educated in mathematics. She was passionate about nursing and elevating the nursing profession in ways she had no idea would still be ongoing today. She was one to promote collegial relationships with physicians, not subservient. She was the first to use statistics and research to make care better for patients. She started the Nightingale Training School for Nurses. It was her own school. The success of Florence Nightingale's nursing school became world-renowned, and she set the design of nursing education, which would transfer eventually to the United States. In 1870s, there was about 10 U.S. nursing schools. By the 1880s, we had about 35. And by 1900, there was about 423 nursing schools in the United States. Today, well, just passed in 2020, statistics show that we had approximately 996 BSN schools and more than about almost 1,100 ADN or ASN schools. In the late 1800s, public health nursing was in its infancy, and a special nurse by the name of Lillian Wald was from New York. She was instrumental in developing school nursing and public health nursing. And it was nurses joining together to make nursing professions who formed the American Nurses Association, which sought to formalize licensing for nursing. The National League for Nursing, which was founded to standardize nursing education. Now, Clarissa Harlow Barton, you may know her as Clara Barton, was instrumental in forming the Red Cross as it is known today. Now, as nursing schools were being formed, some physicians were highly against nursing and nursing education. Some hospitals even became kind of evil, we'll say. They were using nurses and labeling it as clinical training, and where they would grab free labor. What these hospitals would do also is they would take these nursing students who were students and still learning and send them out to do public health nursing and then be reimbursed for whatever the services they did, and they would not pay the nurses or the student nurses for this. Eventually this would change and training would focus on education first, setting the pathway for the way it is today. Now, as technology advanced, medicine advanced, so did the need for nurses with their education and their clinical skills needed to advance. Now, I'm sure you've come across in your nursing studies something called Nurse Practice Acts. In the 1920s, the title and licensure for registered nurse was a result of Nurse Practice Acts becoming enacted laws governing professional nursing. A woman by the name of Frances Payne Bolton in 1943 enacted something called the Bolton Act. This made the nursing profession more accessible to everyone, mandated standards for nursing education programs, and removed discrimination against ethnicity, race, marital status, and gender. She was not a nurse, and I'm going to quote, in a radio broadcast, she said that this would bring nurse education from crude apprenticeship to scientific preparation for a broad and contributive professional career. Now, also at this time, untrained nurses could still call themselves nurses and practice as nurses as long as they did not call themselves registered. Now, our organization, the American Nurses Association, in 1947, wrote in the American Journal of Nursing and printed it in 48 states and territories that made it explicit that people needed a valid nursing license to hold the title registered nurse and to practice nursing. By the mid-1940s, nursing salaries were very low, lower than, no offense, teachers. Now, collective bargaining entered, and this is defined as, in today's healthcare environment, it is about more than wages and benefits. It is about patient advocacy, protecting nurse practice, safe staffing levels, and ensuring a safe and healthy work environment for registered nurses and healthcare professionals. Now, wars led to an increase in nurses. In World War II and World War I, there was an influx of nurses to care for soldiers. After World War II, there was a shortage of nurses because nurses that were returning from the war wanted to stay home and raise families. And at that time, it wasn't acceptable for a married woman to be a nurse. If you've graduated from an Associate of Science nursing program, you must thank a lady, a nurse by the name of Mildred Montag. She developed, as a part of her dissertation for her doctorate degree, the technical nurse, the ADN as a temporary experiment. But it was such a huge success, and it promoted nursing graduates, and it opened the doors for men, married women, and previously other excluded people who were not able to enter nursing school. So if you've graduated from an ADN or ASN nursing program, it was due to nurse Mildred Montag. So thank you, Mildred. There's too many nurses to mention that are the reasons that I can be a nurse, make a video about the history of nursing, and write and record a song titled, I'm a Nurse. Nurses nowadays are actually encouraged to acquire from their ASN to acquire a BSN, and it's to elevate their knowledge to become a professional nurse. And with online learning, this has never been easier. Nurses can advance their knowledge, their degrees, their careers, and their profession, and to continue their education to become a bachelor-trained nurse, a master's-trained nurse, to have an advanced practice nursing degree, to become a nurse practitioner, have a doctoral degree as a DNP or a PhD. Now, I started out with an ADN or an ASN degree, and now have a master's degree in nursing with a focus in education. In the comments below, tell me where you went to nursing school, or if you're still in nursing school, what school you're going to, and also what degree you're pursuing or what degree you acquired. And like I mentioned earlier, I believe that we learn about our past so that we can better shape our future. And we learn from history how far we've evolved. Who knows where nursing will go? So just think what you can do as a nurse and who you can become as a nurse. Maybe you can take nursing to the next level. Go to nursing school and let's find out. Thank you for watching. Now, if you enjoyed that, make sure that you like and subscribe to my channel, and be sure to click on the notification bell to be aware of when I release new videos. So be sure to catch part 2, which will be about Florence Nightingale.